Photography Daily, the assignment.
It's assignment day, so once more unto the breach, dear friends. Once more, as the fifth King Henry said, according to Shakespeare. Neither of whom I hear were particularly interested in, or indeed good photographers. In fact, neither even owned a smartphone. That's how indifferent they were to the whole thing. Hang about, Neil. In that Henry became king 609 years ago, and the bard wrote Henry V 423 years ago, I think you're getting a little of the detail wrong here. Well, that's the problem when you rush these things, and you don't stop to take time over the finest detail of a story. My tenuous link and nod to absurdity just to make a point about today's assignment, set by my good friend Giles Penfound, former head of press photography in the army, a documentary photographer of fine standing, and a strong printer too in the darkroom. In fact, patrons, over the coming weeks, you'll hear what happened when I went to see Giles to reacquaint myself with Patterson tanks and loading film onto developing spirals in a room that was darker than a competitive writing competition between Stephen King and Clive Barker. So yes, Monday is assignment day, where our special guest, Giles, today sets a photography challenge or a way to think about your picture making for the next, well, I have been saying week. But the reality is, some people don't necessarily start the challenge until later on in the week, perhaps even at the weekend. So it's a little open to interpretation. But when you pick the challenge up, that's really when the clock starts for the 7 days ahead. It's a challenge for everybody, whatever interest you have, whatever camera you hold, film, larger format, DSLR, mirrorless, compact, smartphone. It's all about the picture that you see. As always, there is a show page on the website, photographydaily.show, and I'd love you to share the pictures you make for this challenge, which I can upload to the show page for this edition. You can check back, of course, to see the pictures too from previous editions. And before we meet our special guest, my thanks to our wonderful patrons and mpb.com who sponsor this show, the number one company in the UK, the US and Europe when it comes to buying, selling and trading used camera kit online. A safe place to do business with guarantees upon what you buy, and product specialists who are photographers and creators who've been answering questions you send in to the Friday Photo Walk show. And, this Friday, my guest is Chris Burkhardt, surf photographer, mentor, adventurer and public speaker. And, the list goes on, but he is a man used to challenge. He makes pictures and tells stories in the most inhospitable of places, surfing in sea temperatures that are so cold, it's not unknown for the beach he's surfing onto to be home to beached icebergs.
If suffering is a shortcut to mindfulness, then I would consider myself a monk, because I think that I've tried to thrust myself into a lot of situations where that is the case. And I know that might seem like a masochistic approach, but it's really not. It's not about masochism at all. It's about just finding that understanding that in those environments, you do become more mindful, you become more aware. You're more aware of your surroundings when they can kill you. You're more aware of the image when you have a limited time frame to make it happen, to make it work. There's a lot more that becomes top of mind when you're thrust into the here and now. And I can't think of a better thing to thrust you into the here and now than harsh and inclement weather or a hostile environment. And I don't mean hostile like it's trying to harm you, but I just mean hostile like when the moments are good, they're so good. And you know in that moment that they last just a very, very little amount of time. And that's special to me.
Chris Burkhardt on Friday with your letters and your pictures in the Photo Walk edition. So let's meet our guest for today, setting you a challenge for the next 7 days. Here's Giles Penfound. And if slowing down is something you cherish within your picture making, well, this one is right up your proverbial street.
The assignment.
So the idea, what I'd like you to try, is to consider the idea of making a single image and give yourself some thinking time and some breathing time in order to make that image. So much of, I think, photography now is about more and more and more and more, taking more images, whatever, higher pixel count, it becomes pointless as far as I'm concerned, because you potentially lose the essence of what you're trying to do in making an image. And I think it's conveying a sense of a story, and it could be a very, very simple story in as much as this is a thing, because that is a story, but also it conveying a sense of your feelings, how you feel about something to another person. Because for me, that's the whole point of photography. It's showing another person what you feel or how you felt about something in a two-dimensional image. So what I'd suggest, what I'd like you to do is to go out and find a location that you like, find a location that you find interesting, and go there and spend some time in that location and experience that place. Spend at least 15 minutes, if not half an hour, experiencing this place.
So do not take a picture for 15 minutes. Look at it, decide what you're going to make an image of, and be more considered.
Yeah, and because I think if you just arrive there and go, I'm going to take a picture of that, it's too quick, it's too spontaneous, and sometimes spontaneity is really good. But what I want you to do is to look around, is take that time to breathe, take that time to take in the atmosphere, how the environment impacts on you, how you impact on the environment, the wind, your emotions. And it sounds a bit all woo-woo, but it's wonderful, it really is, because I think eventually what you'll do, and it's not a question about timing yourself, it's 15 minutes are up, it's time to take a picture. It's getting yourself to the place where you look around and you start to notice things. You've taken the time to look around and see what's there, and see things perhaps that you didn't see or didn't recognize or didn't have a reaction to. And when you see something that you can engage with, that you want to tell somebody else about, which therein lies the aspect of telling a story, you want to tell somebody else about, then look at that thing again. Concentrate on that and think about how you want to make this one image. So set yourself this idea that you've only got the capacity to take one more picture, no more. And then think about using the facilities of your camera, i.e. your lens, so your focus, your apertures, your shutter speeds, your ISO, using all those attributes of the camera to figure out what you can do to make this image more appealing, more interesting, more engaging, I think, with your subject, and then take that picture. But then also when you go to edit the image, because that's only half of the story, try and remember what your feelings were, your emotions were when you made the image. What did you want to say about the scene that you saw in front of you? As Minor White said, you don't have to make a picture of just what it is, you can make a picture of what you want it to be. So when you're editing it as well, bring that into the fray. Use those attributes of your computer program or your darkroom or whatever to bring that out. But all the time thinking about this one image. And that's the challenge.
And that is our challenge for your week ahead. I'll be delighted to see what you produce and would love to show them on today's corresponding show page on the website photographydaily.show. Music on the show from artlist.io, production assistance from Neil Ford and Emily Renier, and I look forward to photographing with you, hearing from you and talking with you on the Photo Walk.
The Assignment is a Loading Zone production.